Welcome back, Chapter 11. Good morning. I'm doing this. Okay, you ready? Elise looked at Olivia and Kathy. That was months ago. I haven't seen or heard from him since then. Wow, Kathy said. I would have ripped off his clothes that night. I wish I had, Elise said. Now I'll never get a chance. By now, he's probably returned and been told that I was locked away because I tried to kill myself. Since he's Carmen's brother, I imagine he knows more than that, Olivia said. Of course, she's what the men were trying to tell you about. That my husband and their sister? Elise took a breath. Now I'm on the run from the law and I doubt if I'll ever see him again. But it wouldn't matter. I still don't know how Alejandro and I would live. Olivia's head came up. Alejandro said he's seen that you found out. Do you think he had anything to do with Tara starting to investigate Kent? That's a good idea. I ain't even think about that. I don't know, Elise said, but it's possible. Alejandro did have Tara's card, Kathy said. Maybe he sent her something. Elise closed her eyes for a moment. That would mean that he chose me over his sister. He gave his loyalty as well as his love to me. But what did I do? Up until the night before I found out, I was still hoping that Kent and I could, I don't know, start over. Alejandro was more loyal to me than I was to him. I wish I could change it all. Me too, Olivia said. And so do I, Kathy added. It had begun to rain and the sound was nice in the house. The women got up, took bathroom breaks, straightened the kitchen, and pondered all that they'd heard. Elise kept smiling, relieved to have at least been able to tell someone about her and Alejandro. When it was happening, she told herself that it wasn't serious, but saying it out loud had made her see that there was more there than she realized. What had Kathy said? That she was heart and soul gone to him. Maybe she had been. Maybe she was. So, who's up for a game of Scrabble? Kathy asked when they were back in the living room. When they looked at her, it was as though they were holding a sign. You're next. But Kathy was hesitant. Olivia, your husband's a diplomat, right? Have you traveled a lot? Elise started to say something, but then Kathy looked at Olivia, and there was something in her eyes. But what was it? That she felt sorry for Kathy? But why? It took her a moment, but she began to realize that Ray had told them something about her. But what in the world was it? When it came down to that, what did he really know about his wife? Exactly. Their eyes seemed to want some information, but they were afraid of the answers. In a lot of ways, Kathy was Bert Carmack's daughter. She inherited her mother's sensitivity, but there was enough of her father's personality in her that Kathy could, well, survive the two men in her life. And one of the ways she done that was keep her mouth shut. She never truly confided in anyone. She let others see one thing while she kept the truth to herself. But these two women, these strangers, had confided in her. More than that, they entrusted her with some deep secrets. A call to the police could change Elisa's life forever. And Olivia? Maybe Scrabble would be good, Olivia said. Has anyone seen a board around here? She opened a corner cabinet. The truth was, just as Elise had, Kathy wanted to talk. She wanted to tell these women who'd been through so much about her life. She took a breath. This was going to be hard for her, so she better start with something easy. Did Ray tell you how we first got together as a couple? Both women stopped opening cabinet doors and smiled. His date spilled a drink on you and he said you handled it graciously, Olivia said. With class, Elise added. He didn't say so, but I think he fell in love with you at that moment. Kathy looked from one woman to the other, then let out a loud laugh. How funny. Ray didn't fall in love with me then or any other time. He does love you, Olivia was serious. Kathy leaned back in her chair. Yes, he does. He loves me very much, more than he knows, but that's not why he married me. Olivia and Elise were staring at her, but they didn't seem shocked by her words. I bet Ray told you that after the spilled drink he saw me crying. Yes, he did, Olivia said. He said his date had hurt your feelings. Ray is an idiot. Smart, brilliant even, but an idiot. The truth is that she and I set that whole thing up. Ooh, I want to hear this, Elise said. Olivia agreed. This is a house of stories and you're next. Elise, get the wine and the glasses. And are there any more of those chips? Oh no, Kathy said. I gain weight even looking at food. You have any club soda? Kathy, Olivia said, I don't know who has messed with your mind, but you look great. I wish I had boobs like yours, Elise said. You wouldn't be able to stand up, Kathy shot back, then put her hand over her mouth. Sorry. But Elise and Olivia laughed and got up and went to the kitchen. Minutes later, they had a banquet of wine and chips and dips on the coffee table. It had been a long time since Kathy had some good old-fashioned girl time. Between her father and Ray, both of them men who demanded a lot and got it, she didn't have much of a chance for girl talks. To those two men, if it wasn't something that would lead to making money, why bother discussing it? Now these women were watching her in silence, waiting for her to tell them what happened. Elise had poured her heart out and Kathy knew she should do the same. But she never told anyone the truth about what had happened. I told y'all. But then, who could understand the power of Burt Cormack and Ray Hanran? A few times Kathy had tried to describe them to women friends. They'd thrown up their hands in horror. You should get away from them, they'd say. Stand up to the tyrants. Be good to yourself, on and on. Sometimes women's support lacked understanding or variety. Kathy didn't dare tell anyone that there was a part of her that loved the challenge, loved the fireworks that a life near those men created. Fireworks, she thought. Yes, that described Ray exactly. In the rare moments when he was quiet, he was like an unlit bomb. Wow. And the endless attention he gave her, even if it was to find his lost papers, was exciting. Kathy took a breath, picked up the glass of cold white wine that Olivia had poured for her, and took a sip. Poor Dolores, she began. It was one of Dad's black tie balls, 2 floors down in our building and meant to impress his clients. Not that Burt Cormack would know a white tie from a clown's bow tie. He left arranging the entire party up to me. She took another sip. You have to understand that my father and my husband love each other. Father-son love. Fishing buddies love. Besties, clones, actually. So when Dad realized that he had to go a black tie event with Ray there, he had me send for him. Wait, Olivia said. Ray said you helped him, but I didn't realize you worked for the company. You mean get a paycheck, dental, that sort of thing? I don't. Burt Cormack believes in family, or that's what he says. To him, that means I do the work of 3 employees and never receive acknowledgement or pay, and certainly not any thanks. Olivia was looking at her in disgust, girl, because I was thinking disgust too. But Elise was smiling. That silk shirt you have on is Italian and retails for over $1,000, and the stones in that necklace are real. I think you're compensated. Hold one second. Okay, I'm back. Kathy gave a slow smile. I am my father's daughter. At her tone, Olivia snuggled into the couch. I think I'm beginning to like you, Kathy Haran. So Ray was told to return from his business trip and he called a girl from Brooklyn to be his date. Exactly, Kathy said, and I found her in the restroom crying. Not to be catty, but she should have cried. She looked horrible. She had on a purple polyester dress with a set of rhinestone jewelry that came from the dollar store. Literally. And her hair? Ghastly. But Ray had given her 3 hours to get ready, which included buying a dress, and she done the best she could. Why didn't she say no? Elise asked. Olivia spoke before Kathy could. I have a feeling that when Ray turns on the charm, it's almost impossible to say no to him. Mm-hmm. You're right, Kathy said. The first thing I did was get her out of that public restroom. I had a key to Dad's office and kept the box of cosmetic in his bathroom. I thought I'd take a shot at repairing her face. I couldn't fix that dress, but I could get rid of the purple eyeshadow. Kathy drank more wine. I think I should add something about that night. I thought I had a boyfriend, Larry. We'd met a couple of months before, and he was so attentive that he'd almost blocked Andy out of my mind. I take it Andy is the unattainable one, Olivia said. The one who never looked at me. His office was near Ray's, so I hung out nearby every time I went into the city. I was hoping that Andy would notice me, but he never did. When Olivia glanced at Elise, Kathy understood. Let me guess. Ray told you I was near his office because I had a crush on him? Elise and Olivia nodded. Kathy gave a little laugh. I do know my husband. Anyway, that night I was feeling great, full of love for the world, so I wanted to help the girl. She was short, so I had her sit in the bathroom counter while I fixed her face and we began to talk. That's the end of chapter 11. I said it was more to Ray's story from the beginning. Like, I just didn't think that Ray was telling a whole story about Kathy. He made her seem so like in love with him. This girl is a pistol. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Kathy. Okay. Chapter 12. Ray won't let me break up with him, Dolores was sniffling. I've tried. He agrees, but then he shows up at my door and, when she shrugged, the hideous dress nearly fell off her bony shoulders. She was only about 5 feet tall and didn't weigh 100 pounds. Next to Ray, she looked like a lost child. Kathy was using a Q-tip to remove the mascara from under Dolores' eyes. Ray is like my dad. He wants to win no matter what the prize. Dolores looked surprised, as though she couldn't believe someone like Kathy could know him so well. That's Ray, all right. Kathy began to replace the eyeshadow with 4 shades of brown, blending each color into the other. What Mom and I used to do is figure out a way to make Dad do what we wanted him to do. You need to make Ray stay away from you. How do I do that? Dolores looked like she was going to start crying again. I've yelled at him, slammed doors in his face. There isn't a name I haven't called him, but it doesn't matter what I say because he does this thing to my ear. Then his panties gone. It's like they just drop off me. Kathy's eyes were wide. Now you're shocked. I better leave. No, Kathy said. I'm not shocked. I'm jealous. I wish my boyfriend did that. Dolores sighed. That's the way it always is. You want what Ray gives me, and he wants me to be elegant, refined like you are. You think any people who match ever get together? Kathy stepped back to look at her work. Much better. Not that I've seen. Just to be clear, my boyfriend's parents think I come from low-class working stock. To them, I'm one step up from being the garbage collector's daughter. They're surprised that I don't eat peas with a knife. Dolores laughed. You're nice. I try to be. What if you and I do something so awful that Ray has to break up with you? Kathy wiped the red rouge off of Dolores' cheek and put on some peach-colored blush. Is there someone else at home who you like? Yeah, Donnie. but he's seen me with Ray, so he's too scared to get near me. If this works, invite me to the wedding. Kathy looked back at Olivia and Elise. We made a plan to wait until Ray was on the far side of the room. Then she'd spill her drink on me. It was club soda, and she bawled me out. It almost failed because when Dolores said I looked at her like she was a garbage collector's daughter who eat peas off a knife, I choked up. I had to leave the room so nobody would see me laughing. If all that worked so well, what made you cry? Kathy took a breath. This is a difficult memory to go back to. And my story was easy for me, leaving Alejandro, hearing him tell me I still needed to make up my mind, that I should. She broke off at Olivia's look. Okay, sorry, but you need to confess. Nodding, Kathy took another drink of her wine. I left my clutch in my father's bathroom, so I went back to get it. She looked at Olivia. Have you ever had a single moment in your life that changed everything? I have, Olivia said. Someone asked me to go to Richmond, and I said yes. When I got back, the man I loved with all of my heart was gone. I didn't see him again for over 40 years. Oh, Kathy paused, blinking as she thought about that. I guess you do know. I was in the bathroom when Larry, who I thought was my boyfriend, came in with Felicia, Cal's girlfriend. She was... Wait, Olivia said. Who is Cal and how old is he? Calvin Nordhoff, management director. He's about the same age as Ray, I guess. Dad says he couldn't have a company if it weren't for Cal's keeping everything in line. He's the balance between the flamboyance of Ray and the rock-hard stubbornness of my father. One man can balance the two of them, Olivia said. The third leg of a stool. Remove one and it collapsed. Interesting. Kathy blinked a few times. I never thought of it that way, but I guess you're right. The truth is that I've never known exactly what Cal does. I always had the idea that he disapproved of me, the boss's daughter sticking her nose into every department. I avoid Cal whenever possible. Anyway, Felicia was like, Felicia was like everything I feared in one very skinny body. She used to look me up and down in a way that made me want to hide in a closet. Why were Larry and Felicia in your dad's office? Elise asked. Kathy sighed. Funny how, even after years, things still can hurt. She looked up. They were in there to have sex on my father's big, gaudy, show them I'm the boss desk. She paused a moment. I knew Felicia was a lawyer, and so was Larry, but I didn't know they'd gone to school together. I certainly didn't know they lived together in their freshman year. But then there were lots of things I didn't know about Lawrence J. Winbeck III. Kathy took a moment before going on. As soon as I heard them, I knew what they were about to do. I knew I should show myself, but I was fascinated. I didn't watch, but I heard it all. I had no idea Larry had so much energy in him. He'd always seemed so for down and dirty sex, but what they did was hard and fast, unlike any sex he and I had ever had. It was over quickly, but it was like the whole place was full of steam. I stood inside the bathroom with the doors half open, lights off, and my heart was pounding. That must have been difficult for you to see the man you were dating with someone else, Olivia said. Yes and no. I think maybe I was jealous, but not in the normal way. First, there'd been Dolores with her panties falling on the floor. Then Felicia getting slammed on Dad's desk. I was jealous of what the women were getting and I wasn't. When I would get that kind of mindless, when would I get that kind of mindless passion? Hold 1 second. Okay, I'm back. That's what I wondered too. Elise's voice held sadness along with anger. Kathy looked at Elise in sympathy. But for today, I would have thought someone as thin and beautiful as you are would have it all. Me too, Elise said. When I married Kent, I thought, Olivia cut her off, I want to know what happened in the office. Kathy let out her breath. Things got worse. They lay on the carpet and began to talk. Yes, talk is worse, Olivia said. What did they say? Kathy shook her head. Everything was all about me. Ooh. Are you going to do it? Felicia asked. Are you really going to work up the courage to marry your fat, bland, but oh so rich girlfriend? Sure, another 6 weeks and she's mine. But then I have to, don't I? My dad owes too much money to old Bert Cormack for me to back out. Don't give me that crap. You wouldn't sell your soul for your old man. You want the house and the car and the easy job you'll get by watching that walrus walk down the aisle. Looking forward to your wedding night? Cut it out. Larry sat up. Kathy's nice. She's as naive as a child, but she's okay. She's terrified of her father, but then so am I. It'll be a good marriage. Not exciting, but stable and secure. And you'll have a few office affairs to satisfy your lust and... Hell no, I won't. You're trying to make me believe that you'll be faithful to that wimp of a whale? I meant that I'm not going to have an office. About 4 years after I do's, I plan to have some injury that'll make it impossible for me to sit at a desk. I already have a doctor who will sign a certificate for me. I'm going to spend my life at the country club. And in the girls' locker rooms? Now you're understanding, he said. Any chance your great big gold mine will throw you out and go to court? I wouldn't want to go up against Bert Cormack in a courtroom. Not a chance. Kathy's so love-starved that all I have to do is smile at her and she comes running. Isn't that like you and Cal? Felicia laughed. Not quite. Cal is a hard case to crack. But you're working on it? I guess. He's not somebody who shares his innermost thoughts. I don't know anything about his past, but the sex is good, so I'll hang around a while longer. When someone tried to open the outer door, Kathy gasped. We better get out of here, Larry said. Wait, I heard something from that bathroom. Kathy held her breath as the door rattled again. It's nothing. Get your shoes and let's go. Out this way. After they left, Kathy stepped into the office and opened the door to her father. When she braced herself for his sharp comment, she realized she was terrified of him. He was so loud and aggressive that she and her mom just gave in to him. It was easier. But her father didn't snap at her. He looked at her for a moment, frowned at what he saw, but said nothing. When he stepped away, he bent down and picked up a bracelet off the floor. Looks like someone was in here doing something they shouldn't. He tossed the bracelet to her, then went to the far side of his desk and picked up some papers. Kathy stood there looking at the bracelet, knowing it was Felicia's. How had she not seen the truth about Larry? She wished she could tell her dad what had happened and how it hurt her. She liked to curl up on his lap and have him hug her and tell her that everything would be all right. But Bert Cormack wasn't a snuggling type of father, and he'd tell her she was a fool for wanting Larry in the first place. Mind if I break up with Larry? She asked. Bert gave a snort. And save me from someday having to support the lazy bastard? Kathy drew in her breath. If her father had seen that about Larry, who else had? Were other people laughing at her? She was the wimpy whale. Maybe she should write a children's book with that title. When her father looked up at her, he wasn't wearing his usual expression of impatience. For a moment, she thought she saw sympathy in his eyes. Kathy gave a little nod, then left the office, closing the door behind her. As she got into the elevator, she realized that it hadn't all hit her yet. What she'd seen and heard weren't quite in focus. How did she handle it? Did she walk away and cry out her hurt? Or did she confront Larry and say that she'd seen what he'd done? But Kathy didn't feel like crying. Maybe there was more of her father in her than she thought, because all she felt was anger, rage. It flowed through her like lava. And that red hot anger was making her stand up straight. And oddly, she felt rather calm. Those are the ones you got to watch out for. Larry had been planning to entice her into marrying him for her father's money, and neither he nor Felicia seemed to think Larry wouldn't be successful. Those two had called her nice, love-starved. Cal and Felicia were on the dance floor. They were a good-looking couple. Cal was tall and handsome in his tuxedo, and Felicia was elegant in her designer dress. She was looking up at Cal with stars in her eyes. No one would guess that just minutes before, her legs had been wrapped around Larry's neck. Ooh, the scandal. With a smile, Kathy made her way through the dancers. She was the boss's daughter, so they stepped aside. When she reached Cal and Felicia, they stopped dancing. Cal looked at her in such a patronizing way that she wondered what she ever done to make him dislike her. Felicia looked Kathy up and down, her upper lip curving in distaste. "Sorry to bother you," Kathy said in her sweetest voice as she held the bracelet on the tip of her finger. "You left this on the floor of my father's office when you were screwing Larry." "Yes, honey." "You know, maybe I shouldn't say this, but I think you should have the mole on your left butt cheek looked at. It could be cancerous." Kathy smiled, "But I was glad to see that you two were enjoying the party so much. Good night." Turning, Kathy walked away, and the dancers, who heard it all, parted like the Red Sea. And that's the end of chapter 12. Yes, Kathy. They sitting there talking about you and betraying you. Kathy's like her daddy and like her mama, like she said, these men in this book, they ain't shit. I said it. I say it again. They ain't shit. Sorry, Auntie, but I had to get that out. But I just don't get it. Why? We'll never get the answer to why, because people make their own decisions and do what they want to do. But to be with somebody just for money or status, that I guess that's what they do. And at the same time, they treating them like this. And then they having these women. The description of the women in this book too is like they don't have any backbone. Like, what? I just can't comprehend. But anyway, enough of that. There was one word that I don't know if I pronounced it right, and I definitely don't know the definition of it. So stay tuned for the definition portion. Be right back. Okay, welcome back to the definition portion. The word is spelled Fastidious, and this is how it is pronounced.
Fastidious.
Fastidious. I know this word. Okay. It's an adjective, very attentive to and concerned about accuracy and details. Okay, let's go. It says, Kathy took a moment before going on. As soon as I heard them and knew what they were about to do, I knew I should show myself, but I was fascinated. I didn't watch, but I heard it all. I had no idea Larry had so much energy in him. He always seemed to... Fastidious for down and dirty sex. Okay. Very attentive to and concerned about accuracy and detail. It makes sense. Okay, I'm sorry. It just clicked. All right, well, that's the end of the definition portion and the end of chapter 12. I shall see you in the next chapter. Bye for now.